Hi, I'm Rick Belden, and this is Masculinity from the Inside Out, an exploration of the inner lives of men. If you find this content valuable, please like, share, and ring the bell for notifications. Thank you. When you talk about your thoughts and your emotions being sort of like independent entities in some fashion,
Mhm,
they show up, that's how they show up in your dreams. When you
mhm.
have dreams and you have all these like different
Oh,
characters and
yeah.
locations
Oh,
and all
man.
that stuff,
Yeah.
they're they're these are aspects of your emotional composition, of your thought patterns and so forth. They are representing themselves to you so that you can see them.
Yeah.
Uh,
Man, we
and
I mean,
people don't know what to do with that. But
no,
yeah,
no. Honestly, just over the past few months, I've really started to dive into the work of Carl Jung and like, you know, his perception is that dreams are as real as this right now, if not more. And I mean, I'm actually working on right now making it a habit to, as soon as I wake up, just write down whatever it was. And I'd
that's
say
a
I'm
great
about
way to
like
do it.
I'd say I'm about 50% on it because I'm the type that like my dream kind of fades away after 2 or 3 minutes. Like I've got to do it immediately. But I've been able to gather some stuff and I'm just like, man, like the elaborate I mean, I think that's a whole conversation or seven that we could have about dreams.
Yeah, that would be a great thing to explore at some point. But I just wanted to, you know, sometimes these kind of conversations can seem to be a little bit vague or a little bit theoretical, and I wanted to kind of throw out something that's a little more, I don't know if it's concrete or not,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like to say, yeah, this is one of the ways that these things show up. Because when you think about your dreams, it's, we can understand that these are all representations and expressions of aspects of ourselves. But when you're in the dream, and even when you reflect on it, it's like these are independent entities. It's like, oh yeah, this guy was there and that they were doing that, and I got scared. It's just like, yeah, these are the sort of emotional and
yeah,
thought patterns and so forth, representing and expressing themselves in front of you, so
yeah,
you can see it, and they do appear to be independent and autonomous.
yeah, yeah. And I feel as though, there's what we're doing is we have a part where we co-create in changing the flavor or working with the flavor of thoughts and emotions. So it's not as if like we're just completely helpless to them. Like this work generates positive thought, positive emotion.
Mhm.
It does, it generates it. Even still, your work generates it. You're not, you can do affirmations and mantras and things like this, but at a foundational level, you do not I don't know if anyone just knows the next thought that's going to come to their brain.
Mhm.
Like, okay, um
Well, so why do you think that might be? What do you think might be going on?
I feel as though us as consciousness interacts with the brain, and the brain creates impulses that sends thoughts, and the body creates feeling that mirrors our conscious relationship to reality. So I think that our thoughts and emotions try to try to send out messages for us to interpret,
Mhm.
which is the level of understanding that I'm at it right now, which, like, the question you just asked me, that's something I want to explore. That's part of my life mission. What are we? What is consciousness, But right now it's kind of like what I feel within myself and from what I've learned so far is that, like, thoughts, like a negative thought is not trying to harm you. A negative thought is signaling to you.
Mhm.
A positive thought is signaling to you. And the emotions, thought and emotions play a relationship with each other.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if that answered your question at all, but I'm realizing that, like, they're sort of trying to help guide us, um towards a true realization of ourselves, towards a true expression. But that's all I got for now. But I feel like that question is something that, like, I have an endless, there's so far to go.
Yeah. Yeah. See, my sort of take on that question has to do with, which I think what you said is totally valid. For me, my sort of working, I guess, model for what's going on with that question is that there are, you've probably seen that kind of analogy before of like the iceberg and the surface of the water, and like what we're aware of, which we think is a lot, is just the part of the iceberg that's above the surface.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff under the surface in our unconscious, in the things that we've stored in our bodies, in what people refer to as the psyche, which again is sort of like, you kind of have the unconscious, which is like, well, you can sort of understand that. That's all the stuff we're not aware of. The psyche is more like sort of this environment where all these forces that are active,
Mm-hmm.
in your mind, in your body, in all your life experience,
Yep.
they're all kind of vying for position. They're all kind of trying to represent themselves. It's where all those agendas and all that kind of stuff is. And it's very dynamic. And so a lot of what drives our thoughts and our feelings is not rational, and it's not in a portion of it can be driven by what's happening right now, but it tends to connect down further into that iceberg, or off into that sort of territory that we're not aware of, where there's all this interplay between what am I feeling in my body right now, what's that look he just gave me, like, wow, what a day, and all those stories,
Right.
all those experiences that we had before. And then I think there's sort of there are all these innate drives, some of which are just human drives, and some of which are specific to you or specific to me. Which I think, if we're conscious, they translate into values. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
there's all kinds of there's like this invisible world, where there's all this activity going on,
Right.
and we see a portion of it, and we're affected by all of it.
And I think, I mean, I couldn't agree with that more. And to even add to that, like that, I mean, I think that is what the dreams show, and that is what the subconscious, what the subconscious mind even creates, why you even notice what you notice. You made um a comment about, why did that guy look at me like that? But deeper, why did you notice that guy looking at you like that? And what did you make that mean? Like, there's so many. So in that moment in reality, whether you're in the store, in the line in the grocery store, or you're driving by and you see that guy looking at you, right? Think of the thousands, millions of other factors that are happening in that present moment that your awareness could be on. But because of whatever's happening in your subconscious, whatever thoughts and emotions you're identified with, something drew you to notice that out of everything that's happening in that moment. The
Right.
bird, the car, the next white line in the road, the music, the song, out of everything, your personal experience lasered in on that and drew meaning out of that. We just don't know what that is. We have no idea, but we're learning, like through these, we're learning that that's malleable. Your awareness, what you place your awareness on, is malleable. uh
Because a lot of what we do is pattern matching,
mm-hmm.
right? We've developed we've got this big set of patterns that we've developed through our whole lives that help us navigate through reality, and help us sort through all the input that we get, and help us make decisions and evaluate what's happening quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get some input and you automatically go through this process of like, well, which pattern does that match? Well, it matches this kind of pattern. So therefore, the look that guy gave me means I did something wrong.
And it's a freaky exercise. One of my mentors, we were discussing the same phenomena, and she said, when these type of moments happen, and you notice, and you cultivate the awareness that, like, once that frame happens, and the guy looks at you, and now you're at a space where you can say, "Wow, I really picked that. I chose to notice that." You can ask this question and say, "What else is going on right now?"
Mm-hmm.
And through that practice, I mean, man, this like this like rocked my world. This blew my world, that I would realize, my whole life, things that I have made meaning out of, there's a million trillion other things in that same moment happening, uh and I think, that exercise is useful, as long as you don't allow it to, let you drift off into this state of, like, nothing matters, whatever. That's not the point of it. The point of it is for you to understand that, like, you what you're doing within yourself is going to navigate what you make meaning out of. It's going to drive you. If you're in a different state, if you're in a different state if you're positively creating that present moment, you're so into the song that you're listening to and you're just enjoying it. You're so in the present moment of just how your car feels to drive it. You don't even notice that.
Right.
That moment never even happens.
Mm-hmm.
That moment never even happens. And it's like, wow.
Right. So
It's,
I think one of the problems that we have as a society right now is that because the amount of input that everybody has to process has just gone up logarithmically like that, people are doing default pattern matches as fast as they can without evaluating the results that they get when they do it. Because the emphasis is on throughput. It's like, I have to process all this social media. I have to process all these text messages. I have to process all this multimedia input that I'm getting all the time. And so people are, I think, very, very reliant on their default pattern matching algorithms, if you want to
yeah.
put it that way,
Yeah.
internally.
Yes.
And that's one reason why things go viral sometimes, because somebody makes a little misstatement on Twitter, and everybody just like gets super reactive and goes into overdrive and goes into sort of like catastrophe mode. They go into danger mode,
Mhm.
and then if you step back from it, you're like, well, maybe that isn't even what that person meant.
Yeah.
Uh, but it doesn't matter, because people are in that like high velocity pattern matching,
Sure, for sure. And
uh,
of course,
with little to no evaluation before they take the results of the pattern match and say that is a fact, that's a conclusion, it's ironclad.
mm-hmm. And of course, you're in this echo chamber that the algorithms read, and you're only consuming opinions that largely are gonna, like, agree to this reality that you're creating through
So now we're talking about, now we have an external
yeah.
we have an external unconscious now
This is
that's
a
influencing
whole
us.
nother this oh man, this is a whole nother conversation we could have.
Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah. All right, so as we finish this one up, I want to bring it back around, because I think all of this is what we're talking. We're kind of playing with, like, meaning making and the present moment. So as
And
a
boundaries is where we started.
right,
Yeah.
right. So, and there are boundaries within meaning making, which is like, I mean, you truly are the artist of your life. So can you just a couple practical, I know we discussed meditation, but just a couple practical things people could apply as they begin to observe this within themselves, as they begin to see that they are creating their own beliefs. What are a few practical exercises, maybe, that you've worked with clients that have allowed them to improve the quality of their life when they begin to notice this type of phenomenon?
I think the most helpful thing is to slow down and cut your input as much as you can,
Mm.
because in order to develop this kind of what you want to do is you want to repattern. You want to do some repatterning. So like, for example, I was saying that so many people are just doing their default pattern matches as fast as they can. So there is no opportunity to evaluate anything. So that's why I say slow down and reduce the amount of input you have to process, because that's the only way to open up the space where you can actually do some self-examination. And number one, you can look at your reaction and go, well, is this an appropriate reaction in terms of my assessment of the factuality, and also the amount of energy that it generates in me.
Yeah.
And so if you want to be able to do that, then you've got to open up some space between things, and not have as much input to process as much as you can. And I know it's hard for people, because a lot of people, they have jobs, they have families, they got kids, they got parents they're taking care of,
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. But I've never talked to anybody yet where they were 100% maxed out in terms of input, and it was all mandatory.
What I'm hearing is that even if you start with 5 to 10 minutes, you have to consciously create a time period in your day where you can be present and still. Whether you meditate or not is one thing, but you have to create a small amount of time where you're present, not stimulated by anything, and still.
And another way to approach it is to say, okay, and these are just kind of arbitrary numbers. It's like, well, if I could cut the amount of input I have to process by 10% every day, then that's 10% more space I have
Yeah.
that I can distribute
Yeah.
throughout the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And all of these are practices which allow more room for the present moment.
Right. Right. Because that's what it takes. If you think about, if your house was full of furniture, like completely full, and you couldn't even walk through it,
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to put some new furniture in there, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
You gotta make some space. You gotta move some stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, you can even evaluate the space.
Mm-hmm.
You can go, well, do I actually want to put this piano in the bathroom? Well, maybe, but probably not.
I mean, if you wake up, you check your phone, you're listening to something or watching stuff while you're getting ready, you go to work, you're talking to people, you're on your phone, watching videos on Zoom or at the office all day. Maybe you work out, you handle your kids if you have them, you handle your wife or relationship of whatever kind if you have it, then you're watching TV or on your phone again. I think like even if you start with 2 to 3 minutes of meditation, you immediately see, or even if you just cut off 10% of that stimulation, this vastness opens up, which helps you see like it's almost like there's so much input that there is not even any room for you in there.
Right.
I think that's one of the first things almost everyone notices whenever they cut down on their consumption of content or entertainment or begin meditating, which I think I think we're kind of in a time now where just not being stimulated is almost meditation.
Yes.
Like you don't
But
even
it's also,
the whole
it can also be
process.
very uncomfortable for people.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, is like when you start
Yeah.
to slow down,
Yeah.
there's probably going to be some discomfort that you're not doing something,
Yeah.
or that you're not watching something,
Yeah.
or that you're not interacting with somebody. And I think you have to accept that you're going to feel some discomfort, and there's going to be some withdrawal there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you can do things like, this might sound kind of silly, but you can do things to bring yourself back in your body. So one of the things I've done with people before, when they came into a session and they were like really, really up here, just take a few moments, take a few breaths, and then I have them close their eyes and count off all their toes from left to right, and then right to left, and then one more time. And this slows them down.
Yeah.
It slows people down. So there are things that you can do to help yourself slow down. And I think that the other thing you can do, this is kind of left field, but somebody taught me this years ago. One of the things you can do if you want to interrupt patterns is to do pattern interrupts. And so an easy one is if you're driving home from work, which I guess everybody just works at home now for the most part, but whatever your normal pathway to do something is, if you're driving to the store, go a different way, even if it means going down a different block, because it will reset you and get you out of that kind of automatic default mode that we tend to be in, where we just aren't really, we've driven down the street, we know how to get there. It's almost like you're asleep.
Right.
If you just go one block over and go down a different street, you will find that whatever it was that was distracting you, all those wheels that were spinning, they have to sort of disengage for a little bit, because now you're getting all this input that you don't expect. And it's kind of an easy way to get a reset. If you take a walk, and I'm guilty of this. So I take my walk. It's like I go this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. It's like, well, go this way, go the other way, go in the opposite direction, and it's going to be a different experience, and you'll see different things.
Mhm.
And again, it'll do that pattern interrupt business. It'll kind of bring you, because the other thing we talked about today is, how do you get into the present? It's like, well, those are some fairly cheap and easy ways to get into the present. Just take a different path.
Yeah. Rick, thank you. Guys, if you'd like to check Rick out, check out one of his discovery sessions and see some of his work, you can find him at rickbeldencoaching.com. Rick, thank you. And we'll be back to it next week.
All right. I'll talk to you next time.
What's up? This is Chris Wilson. Thank you so much for checking out the content, and I hope you found value within it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share, as it helps the channel grow and helps me continue my work of seeking deeper truths and sharing it with the world.